the KMNN studios, this is the Kids Morning News Network. Good morning. It's March 15th, 2024, and it's Friday. I'm Alex in the KMNN studio in New York. Tomorrow is National Panda Day. Giant pandas, those cute black and white bears that eat bamboo. They've been a symbol of China for a long time, but like a lot of animals, their natural habitat is being cut back. It's hard to know just how many are left in the wild. Scientists estimate there could be anywhere from less than 2,000 to more than 3,000, which is not that many. People have been working hard to protect wild pandas and help them recover. And there's some good news. The number of wild pandas seems to be increasing. They were actually upgraded from endangered to vulnerable in 2016, which means they are less threatened than they were before. As we talked about a couple of weeks ago, China loans pandas to zoos around the world. Right now, the only pandas in the U.S. are at Zoo Atlanta, but it looks like a couple will be coming to the San Diego Zoo later this year. Happy National Panda Day. Beware the Ides of March. Have you ever heard that phrase? You might today on March 15th. It goes back to ancient Roman times when there weren't any dates. They didn't put numbers on the days of the month like we do. Instead, they divided months into 3 parts. The Ides was the middle part. It marked the first full moon. And as we talked about last week, March was the first month of the year in the Roman calendar. So the Ides of March was a really big day for the ancient Romans. But we still remember it for another reason. The Ides of March was the day a very famous emperor of Rome, Julius Caesar, was overthrown. Hundreds of years later, another very famous guy, William Shakespeare, wrote a play about Caesar. In the play, he had a fortune teller say to Caesar, "Beware the Ides of March." Now, Shakespeare lived in the 15 and 1600s, but he was a really good writer. So good that his plays are still performed. And so good that people still say some of the lines he came up with, even if they haven't seen his plays. Like, "Beware the Ides of March." Not you. You don't have to beware the Ides of March. But it does sound kind of cool to say. It's riddle time. Yesterday's riddle was, what happens once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? The letter M. Today's riddle is, it stalks the fields without legs. It has ears, but can't hear. What is it? It stalks the fields without legs. It has ears, but can't hear. What is it? Give you the answer on Monday. A lot of us take the highways for granted. They're there, we go places on them, we get very bored riding in the back seat. They're actually pretty amazing. The engineers that built them had to deal with some really huge challenges. In Colorado, literally huge challenges. They built what was the highest vehicle tunnel in the world, over and through the Rocky Mountains.
Whoa!
It's called the Eisenhower Tunnel. It's west of Denver, and it goes over, or should I say through, the Continental Divide in the Rocky Mountains. It's actually 2 tunnels running right next to each other to carry traffic in 2 directions. It's at an elevation of 11,000 feet. That's more than 2 miles up above sea level. And it carries Interstate 70 about 1.5 miles through the rock of the mountains, which is good because that area gets an average of 26 feet of snow every winter, except for, the part inside the tunnel. It's pretty amazing, and if you've ever been through it, you probably remember it. Construction of that tunnel began on this day, March 15th, back in 1968. The first tunnel took 5 years to dig, and the one next to it took 6. It looks like there will be some wintry weather today in the Four Corners states of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Rain stretching east from there across Texas and up the East Coast. clear skies pretty much everywhere else. All right, it's Friday. It's a nice day to end with a poem. This one is called My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow, for he sometimes shoots up taller like an India rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's none of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, and can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me, he's a coward, you can see. I'd think shame to stick to Nursey as that shadow sticks to me. One morning, very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. That's the show for this week. Thanks for listening. If you have any thoughts or questions or suggestions, please get your grown-up to help and shoot me a line at kidsmorningnews@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button on your podcast app, share, and spread the word about the Kids Morning News Network. Grown-ups, if you think the show is worth listening to, please consider being a supporter. Just $3 a month could be a big help. There's a link in the episode description. Have a great weekend. I'll be back Monday. I hope you are too. From the KMNN Newsroom, this is Alex, and that's the end of the news.